Right, this morning we come to John chapter 10 concerning the shepherds, the under shepherds to the great shepherd who is Jesus Christ. Remember, he is the great shepherd. He guides his own. He is not there as the Arminian neo-evangelicals declare. There in name only, but is active. Now we all should know about Arminian neo-evangelicalism and their titular gods and lords and heretical ways seasoned with error of every sort. Arminianism that has this theatrical side called neo-evangelicalism. The theatre of it all. It's only to match the world. Great theatre is put on by the media over fake stories. Then you get these so-called truthers, Alex Joneses, who come up as fake can be, and they convey fake stories. And so it goes on. This is the world. And we have it in Christendom. We're surrounded by fakery, evil, delusions, false under-shepherds. Totally. And neo-evangelicalism, of course, this whole setup of Arminianism with the flourishes, it would have us to believe that the two testaments, one former and the one we're in now, the latter, in these last days, somehow are mutually exclusive. As it were, the New Testament stands on its own and the Old Testament stands on its own. Separate, completely separate. Because you see, Calvary, according to this neo-evangelical Arminian setup, the Calvary was a new thing done in the earth. Well, there was a new thing done in the earth. That is, Jesus Christ would come, the only begotten Son of God, would come. The mystery of godliness would be made manifest, Jesus Christ. And that he should come into the world, and that he should make a world new, thoroughly new. And take away rather, the representation of God through the Hebrews, through to the whole world, to go out into the entire world. It was into the entire world, but not declaratively, okay? Because you've got the Jobs of this world, you've got the Adams, you've got the Noahs, you've got the Melchizedeks. But to specifically go out and to be declared by every tongue under heaven that Jesus Christ is Lord to the glory of God the Father. Okay, the Old Testament walks hand in hand with the New Testament. It is the shadow to the body of the New Testament. Arminians again say no. No, no, no. Alright? And it is totally relevant to the passage that we are dealing with this morning, today. Chapter 10 of the Gospel of John. Verily, verily, I say unto you, says Christ, he that entereth not by the door into the sheepfold, but climbeth up some other way, the same is a thief and a robber. But he that entereth in by the door is the shepherd of the sheep. To him the porter openeth, and the sheep hear his voice. And he calleth his own sheep by name, leadeth them out. And when he putteth forth his own sheep, he goeth before them, and the sheep follow him, for they know his voice. And a stranger they will not follow, but will flee from him, for they know not the voice of strangers. Verily, verily, I say unto you, he that entereth not by the door into the sheepfold, but climbeth up some other way, the same is a thief and a robber. In this day and age, Jesus Christ would be arrested for such open, violent language. Oh, this isn't a man of love, a man of hate. He doesn't love souls. He's accusing people here of being thieves and robbers. Oh, that's not the Christ that we serve, says the Arminian. Ah, I know that. Yours is a Socinian Christ. He's hopeless. He's hopeless. Can't even change his nappies. Oh, he's terrible. Verily I say unto you, verily, verily I say unto you, he that entereth not by the door into the sheepfold. So they're coming in. Oh, they're coming in. Close by us, into the sheepfold, into Christendom, professing to be Christians. Christ is the door. They're not coming in by the door. Oh, no. They're not going to come in by the door, which is Christ. How do they come through the door? Like we all come through the door. By godly conviction to conversion. By an act of God in a moment of time. God reviving the law within us to the life of the law that he has given to the law. For Moses is our schoolmaster to bring us unto Christ, that we may be justified by Christ. These vagabonds don't preach law to the conviction of the soul, to the conversion of the person. Oh no. They come in, you see, by error, and error is with them. There are how many gates open, doors open in our city, and yet these vagabonds, they won't come. They'll sit outside the city, and they'll howl, and they'll screech, and they'll bark. Oh yes, they don't want to come in by the doors. Oh no. Or the one single street into the city. Revelation chapter 21 verse 21. We read of the single city into the street of the city. Crystal clear. No, they don't want it. It's there. It's in front of them. They don't want it. Because they're thieves and robbers at heart. And that's what they will do. Like for like. Neither entereth in, not by the door into the sheepfolds, but climbeth up some other way. Oh, they take energy. Oh. Oh, have you never, ever not seen a minister, a crooked minister? Because this here, talking about ministers, under shepherds. I'm not talking about the general assembly, but under shepherds. How they creep in unawares. Creep and climb up. Do everything they can to pass themselves off as being Christians. They work at it, you see, they climb up to the heights of a profession that they have no interest in except to be seen of people, glorying in their own selves before people. They come in unawares. Demas's. Oh, how Demas and Judas must have worked hard to pass as they did. You know, you can come to these people and you can talk about the Old Testament and the New Testament and be on the same level as far as the history of both is concerned. And the stories. And people then believe, oh, well, this must be a child of God. Really? You've forgotten the scriptures then, haven't you? Test the spirits to see if they be of God. It's not what they profess. It's what they do that counts. Thou sayest thou hast faith. Eh? I'll show thee my faith by my works. You show your faith by your works. They can't. Oh, yes, they may go to prisons, visit the prisoners, give them the so-called gospel. Though they may clothe the homeless, they may feed the hungry, and so on and so forth. But do not the papists, do not the the general public, some of the general public, compassionate hearts? But what think ye of Christ? Whose son is he? And have you got the doctrine of Christ? What are your works? Are they just for show? They climb up another way. Bunyan has them coming over the wall into the way, into a way of profession. Thieves! Look at me! Oh, you know? And as soon as you start questioning about doctrine, they're like clouds without rain, wandering stars. Stick them in a pulpit and you wonder, what planet are these people on? What planet? They're just superfluous. Their speaking is hollow and superfluous. There's nothing about them that indicates that they are grounded upon the rock Christ Jesus. Nothing whatsoever. They're floating by in a moment of time. Foaming out their own shame. Wandering guides, as it were, wandering stars. To people whom, to so many, follow. Have disciples to follow them. Yes, they work. They work a great deal to pass themselves off as being the elect of God. But you know something, at the end of the day, do you know what really, really, really trips these blighters up? You know what really trips them up? because they're not on the rock of election, these ministers behind these pulpits and lecterns, listen to them, to what they say. For thou shalt be justified by thy words, and thou shalt be condemned by thy words. Have you ever noticed that a person who gets and says, all believe in justification by faith, he stands up like Eck rather than Calvin and Luther? Listen to his message. His message. Purely Arminian. You see, ladies and gentlemen, it's like this. If we go back to the 1800s, and the ministers that were rising up and rose up, got into the pulpits, they dare not say that they were Arminian. That's the last thing. I mean, they'd be dragged out of the pulpit, if not the congregation just walk straight out. Because Arminianism, free will, apart from denying every doctrine of Christ, was rightly looked upon as Romanism. That's where that comes from, Romanism. Secretly, Jacob Arminius, in spirit, was attached to Romanism. So, how could these Arminian souls get around this to preach Romanism, a doctrine of Romanism? Okay, so what they did, you see, they stood up in the pulpit and said, oh, yep, election, perseverance of the saints, total depravity, limited atonement. Oh, I believe in the effectual call of God. Hallelujah, hallelujah. And they go on like this. And it's been continuing ever since within so-called reformed circles. Then as they begin to preach, it's Arminianism. They're preaching Arminianism. Free will. Look in all reformed circles. Read what they say. Listen to what they say. In videos or tapes, messages. It's Arminianism. But hang on, these are supposed to be Reformation, Reformed, doctrinal preachers. That is the one thing that they slip up on. These false shepherds. They always go back to the bias of their own heart, which is towards Romanism, the doctrine of Romanism. And if you were to take the veil away from this world, you would see them laughing and smiling and kissing the backside of the popes of Rome. Or should we say, one pope? Because apparently, all the popes of Rome are one. Because they are unable to die. Because of the succession. The succession. So spiritually they say spiritually that they cannot die. Physically they can, and do. Well, not spiritually. So it's like a reincarnation, not into a spider or anything, but from one pope to the next pope. Because at the end of the day, they claim to be God Almighty, Holy Father, Jesus Christ, the mediator, and the head of the church, the only one true church. And the Spirit of God, of course, when they say they go ex cathedra. How can you trust a liar to tell the truth? How can you tell, oh, we've gone ex cathedra, so our teaching is not errors. Yeah, but everything you're saying to me is error because you're born in error. You're liars. But there is that corrupt part of me that has to be resisted. That corrupt part that will believe what you're saying. But the new man of the heart says you're a bunch of liars and that I should not trust you and I shouldn't trust this damned flesh. And it is damned. This corruption shall put on incorruption. And when the news comes on, if you've got one of these abominations in the corner, doesn't the old man go, oh yeah, oh that's terrible, that's terrible. When in actual fact the event may never have happened. Yeah, you get drawn, this old nature gets drawn into the world we must resist. It's a fight, isn't it, to the death. Hey? Oh, wretched man that I am. But of course none of this will come from false teachers. Mind you, very few come from true teachers. But then, equally, true teachers, as in persons having set themselves up as ministers who are actually born again, have not necessarily been called to that position. They've stolen that position. They've not been called of God to preach. Oh, they just fancied the position, so they've come in. They've done no better than the vagabond who's stolen the position in the first place, to glorify himself in. And how is it? I hate to be negative, but this is life. How is it that this person gets into this office? Well, one, he doesn't feel as though he is fit to do any manual work of any type.